So there's a company called Joby Aviation Quest.
Yeah.
Okay, this company's are at 6 billion. They have no
Yep.
revenue.
Oh,
7 billion at least, probably more than
what do they
that.
have in holdings?
They don't. They have a little cash to run their business, but their business is an eVTOL. Have you heard of this?
eVTOL?
Bro, this looks like it was made by AI.
TOL or TAL?
TOL. It's a
Yeah,
fucking fake ass
definitely a type
helicopter.
of helicopter with like sideways propellers that
I don't get it.
right?
It looks like a normal helicopter with 7 propellers. It doesn't
They
make
can
any
turn.
fucking sense.
The propellers can turn, Martin.
Oh, okay.
So like you can turn them forward and fly it like a plane.
Okay, okay. I see that. So they're trying to certify with the FAA, I guess.
What is like a, are they trying to make this like a consumer thing?
Yeah. They
Oh,
they're making their fifth aircraft. That's it. I thought you have to make like thousands of these fucking things.
because they don't really have revenue. They're
They don't
already
have any
selling
revenue,
more,
not a dollar.
but they're selling aircrafts.
No, they most certainly are not.
You just said this is their fifth one.
They made their fifth one, but they're not actually
What
selling
does
it to
that mean?
anybody. They're hoping to sell it. It looks like they want to run like an Uber like service.
A what?
An Uber like service.
With helicopters?
Yes.
Huh?
It's very light on details. Let me read it. Let me
I
read a
mean,
little. Let me
that would be
read.
pretty sick to be honest.
Let me read a little bit. Pilot on board transition flights, now a routine part of flight test activities. Second consecutive quarter of record certification progress. Okay. Fifth aircraft from pilot production line has been powered on. Okay. $500 million commitment from Toyota.
Wait, they've made 5 planes? I thought you meant they've made like 5 designs of
No,
aircraft.
they built 5 of these things.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. 5 actual.
It must be a really nice one. Do they have like existing contracts then?
Uh-uh.
Is that where a lot of their value is coming from?
All right, we reached a landmark moment in our aircraft test program, completing flights with a full transition from vertical to cruise and back again with a pilot. Since completing our first full pilot on board transition, we have flown multiple transition flights. I don't know what a transition flight is. With
They're
three,
moving the propellers and
oh yeah,
flying.
going from vertical to horizontal, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, as we've flown multiple transition flights with 3 different pilots at the controls, as we became the first company to routinely perform inhabited testing of an electric air taxi from hover to wingborne flight. I'm sorry, maybe I'm stupid here, but like, isn't this exactly what a helicopter is?
No. Helicopters can't really go that fast forward. This can go like way faster than a helicopter can go.
Helicopters are fast.
Yeah, but this one's faster.
Okay, helicopters aren't that slow.
No, they're pretty
Um,
fast. Like, if you want to go like anything faster than just like popping across town, like
uh huh.
this is going to be noticeable benefit.
Wouldn't you use a plane for that?
Well, you might want to go somewhere without a landing strip.
Uh huh. Okay, transitioning from vertical to horizontal flight is a key design attribute of our aircraft, allowing it to take off and land vertically like a helicopter, while maintaining the efficiency and speed of a conventional fixed wing aircraft in forward flight. Okay, so you could theoretically do like a normal plane flight to like Miami or something.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. Depends on the price of the jet. I mean, these things must be 20 or 30 million more.
This thing looks so weird.
Yeah, the military's had these for forever.
Yeah. I'm,
Sorry, the volume on whoever just talked is absurdly high.
the idea is you can land anywhere with a helipad, but you can get there at plane speeds.
Yeah. Is that much of an advantage?
Planes go way fucking faster.
I'm just saying, like, private jets are probably similar price here. Like, how is this different from NetJets?
Um, when you go to like Miami, you don't have to like land at the airport. You just land on the helipad of like your company building or whatever.
Oh, that's nice.
What's the helicopter called?
Looks like they want to do Dubai first.
Yeah, I mean that seems pretty practical.
But yeah, if you look at the like the companies that operate like taxi type things, it's really not that profitable. Like NetJets has like almost no margins. So like these guys have
It doesn't even go that fast.
these guys have a bigger market cap than JetBlue, like much bigger.
What?
Okay, so they're smaller than Delta, but like might be putting the cart before the horse. They're about as big as American Air. Although a lot of these companies have a lot of debt, so it's not fair to compare it that way. And they would have to make a lot of these planes, right? Like right now, they can barely.
Yeah. I mean, it's just weird because it's not like they're the only people that have this technology.
Okay, Sean wants to add something. Let's let him. Does he have the roll? Let me see. Rolls. Where are the rolls? All right, Sean, go ahead and tell us what you think.
He might have to move and then move back.
Yeah. All right. Hey.
If you're talking, we can't hear you, Sean. I think they're trying to make them faster.
Faster than what?
Probably. Than the and any like existing model, like they're trying to
Oh,
iterate.
okay.
Because I'm looking, they're like prototypes were getting faster and faster.
I don't trust the Dubai being the first place to do it. That sounds pretty terrible.
Really?
Well, yeah, it just screams like luxury one-off thing to me, not a real business. Like
Yeah.
it's okay. You see, you build one of these things for 50 million bucks. How many trips is it before you break even? The jet business is a tough business.
Yeah, I mean,
And the first time one of these things goes down,
I'm sure Boeing can tell you they'd rather be in the business of making planes and selling them to other people than actually having to operate them.
so fourth stage of certification, 43% complete. The problem is I can't short something like this because I've shorted like every other meme stock. There's somebody who sounds somewhat smart saying batteries infamously don't like it when there's a hole in it. Things want to poke holes in you and your vehicle. I don't know if he's saying this about eVTOLs or something else. Not even sure. Ah, I see. Yes. Fast turnaround is needed, so they need to have a lot of batteries lying around bases. That it's a fire hazard, gigantic weight, one swap per sortie. You cannot refuel while flying with a battery. Okay, so are these bad for military, I guess?
Well, they have some military applications, but like you don't want to use them for everything. I mean, the U.S. military has like 100 different um, helicopters for all sorts of different use cases.
Doesn't sound like they're going to have revenue for at least another year or two.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay now?
Hey, take it away.
Sorry, was trying to figure out Discord. Yeah, so this is a space I don't work in it, but I did do some graduate work just on the market research side of it. So I think you guys have brought out some pretty interesting points. And Martin, I think you know it is relatively risky in that you're right. Like one public accident can basically drop these stocks pretty materially, but where I think it's interesting, you know, I, initial use cases are going to be much more limited, at least to the public, than people think, right? Like essentially what these companies are doing right now is establishing. vertiports. Vertiports is what they'll use for takeoff and landing. First use case is going to be airport transport for consumers. But where it's gotten interesting is seeing these companies navigate for military applications, right? Archer has signed a partnership with Palantir, or not Anduril, I believe.
Yep.
Palantir, sorry. So it'll be kind of interesting. Happy to answer any questions that I can. Again, not a technical expert in the space. Done a little bit of research.
Well, what do you know about Joby?
So Joby, at least when I was doing the research, they were considered the gold standard. I mean, their approach relative to Archer is pretty unique. Joby is seeking to vertically integrate, so they're looking to, at least the last time that I researched, manufacture all their components in-house, right? Which is a very different strategy than how Archer is approaching it, which is basically using other manufacturers' components. So again, it's been a few years since I've been in the space from a research standpoint, but at that time, Joby was really considered the market leader. But Archer's done great on hitting their technical milestones, and I think they're a little bit better at marketing themselves.
Okay, I mean, from a valuation perspective, obviously this is a concept stock, and it's kind of gonna have behave a little bit differently from any other kind of stock. And right now, concept stocks are like the hottest thing in the world. So, but having said all that, they have spent 120 million, okay, on PP&E. That's hard assets. That includes the planes they built. Right? So they got 130 million of PP&E. The problem with that is in the NetJets sort of space, right? So you make, let's say you want to operate a taxi, kind of like private jet flight company, and you buy 130 million of airplanes instead of renting them. It doesn't really matter if you rent them or buy them. If you rent them, your margins are going to be low, but you don't have to fork out 130 million. If you buy them, you have to fork out 130 million, your margin is going to be pretty high. But either way, your assets are roughly 130 million. If you could make more money, if the planes were worth more than 130 million, operating them, they would cost more, but they're basically going to be around, they're going to give you around 130 million in profit, plus a return on capital, plus some other efficiencies, but like they're not going to double your money. They're certainly not going to 10x your money or 20x your money. If you do a really good job, maybe they'll double your money, over 5 years or something like that. But they're not going to, having $100 million of equipment, right, does not mean you're going to, that present value of that equipment can't be much more than say 200 million. So the company's market cap or enterprise value is more than 6 billion. So you got $100 million of planes, but you're being asked to pay 6 billion for them. Now, if the amount of planes they had grew dramatically or quickly, you could argue that, all right, well, now I have to start thinking about, it is an earnings business, but they only have 800 million in cash. So for them, growing the amount of planes they have is very difficult. So I'm just trying to think of it from like a practical financial perspective. Like they spend money on their planes are worth something because they theoretically could do a lease back or sell the plane or whatever. But yeah, to me, it's like even if those planes were fully occupied at all times, like they were air taxiing today, forget the registration process and all that. Just assume they were air trafficking today. and they had a 3-year payback period on the plane, which is unusually fast, then you would have like it would be trading at 100 times plus earnings. I don't know how easily they can crank these out, but I'm trying to figure out what the upside is. So let's say they 10x the amount of planes they have. They would have to 10x the amount of planes they have for it to be like relatively reliable. And we don't know yet what the like flight experience is like. The TAM is kind of, basically just private jet style. Like these will never be cheap flights, right? I mean, to me, these sound like just as expensive as making a private jet. Maybe a little cheaper, but the capacity of these planes is not big. It's 26 million a plane, which is, in the private jet territory. So if they're not making if they're not the plane business, they're trying to be an air taxi business. And that's pretty cringe because the profit that they make on these planes, like by the time they make their money back, it's just never going to accrue to common stockholders. Yeah, it's just a fancy helicopter. Is definitely one way to look at it. It's much faster though.
Well, there is helicopters on the market that are pretty fast.
Yeah.
Hey, Martin, might be useful to look at something like Zipline if you've heard of Zipline.
No, what is it?
They're not passenger based. They're delivering medicine basically. Is kind of how they started. They use some VTOL tech, but it's obviously like they actually have revenue and are actually useful. So a bit of a different, but kind of a similar case for VTOLs.
Blade is publicly traded. I didn't know that. Blade is BLDE. Okay, yeah. So this is a short. Because Blade, I've flown Blade quite a lot. I was a decent customer of theirs, and it's helicopter taxi. So it's like Uber for helicopters. And yeah. It's only 300 million. Now Blade doesn't own their helicopters, I don't think. Nor did they make them. So they're missing that part of the value. But just taxing people around is not some great margin business. Yeah, it seems like a short. Wow, QUBT is really wild. Okay. Yeah, it seems like a good one, Joby. But also, I have to look at Archer, which could be a little bit different. Is Archer more military?